At 80 years old, Tom Selleck has reached a stage of life where reflection feels more natural than performance. Time has a way of softening memories, but it also sharpens certain truths. In recent conversations, he has spoken with a quiet honesty about his past, his career, his choices, and the relationships that shaped him along the way. Among those memories is a brief but meaningful connection with Sally Field, a relationship that never turned into something long-lasting, yet remained significant in its own way. It wasn't dramatic or filled with scandal. Instead, it was something more subtle, two people crossing paths at a time when life was shifting quickly for both of them. Looking back now, Selleck doesn't frame it as something lost, but rather as something that simply belonged to a different moment in time. Early life and quiet determination. Born in Detroit and raised in California, Selleck's early life was far removed from the glamour of Hollywood. He grew up with a strong sense of discipline and responsibility, traits that would later define both his career and personal life. Before acting, his focus was on athletics, earning a basketball scholarship and studying business. At that stage, the idea of becoming an actor wasn't a clear goal. It was more of a gradual discovery. Like many young men of his generation, he also served in the National Guard, an experience that grounded him further. These early years shaped his perspective, giving him a sense of patience and resilience. Success didn't come quickly, and perhaps because of that, he never developed the sense of entitlement that often accompanies fame. The long road to recognition Selleck's early career was defined by persistence rather than immediate success. Throughout the 1970s, he worked steadily, but quietly, taking on small roles, appearing in commercials, and auditioning for opportunities that often didn't materialize. It was a period filled with uncertainty, where rejection was more common than recognition. Yet, instead of becoming discouraged, he continued refining his craft. Those years taught him humility and gave him a deeper appreciation for the work itself, rather than the fame that might come with it. Many actors might have walked away, but Selleck stayed committed. In hindsight, that slow and steady beginning became one of his greatest strengths, allowing him to handle later success with a level-headedness that set him apart. A breakthrough that changed everything. Everything shifted when he was cast in Magnum P.I., the role that would define a generation of television. As Thomas Magnum, Selleck brought a unique blend of charm, humor, and emotional depth that resonated with audiences around the world. The show wasn't just successful, it became iconic. His portrayal made Magnum feel real, not just a character, but a person with layers and contradictions. With fame came visibility, and with visibility came pressure. Suddenly, his life was no longer private, and every decision carried more weight. While the success was undeniable, it also marked the beginning of a more complicated chapter, where balancing personal life and professional demands became increasingly difficult. Personal life behind the spotlight. Away from the cameras, Selleck's life reflected a quieter set of values. His first marriage, though not widely publicized, represented a period of stability during his early career. One of the most meaningful decisions he made during that time was embracing the role of a father figure, demonstrating a commitment that went beyond personal ambition. Even as his career began to grow, he remained grounded in the idea that relationships required effort and responsibility. After that chapter ended, he eventually found lasting companionship in a second marriage, choosing to prioritize privacy and family over constant public attention. It was a deliberate choice, one that showed his desire to live a balanced life rather than be consumed entirely by fame. Crossing paths with Sally Field. It was during a transitional period in his life that Selleck crossed paths with Sally Field. Around the late 1970s, both were navigating important turning points. Field had already established herself and was working to redefine her image with more serious roles, while Selleck was still striving for the breakthrough that would soon come. Their connection was natural, shaped by shared experiences and mutual understanding. They were both part of the same industry, facing similar pressures, yet standing at slightly different stages in their journeys. Their relationship wasn't heavily documented or dramatized. It existed quietly, away from the spotlight, making it all the more genuine in retrospect. Timing over circumstance. Looking back, Selleck has often emphasized that their relationship was less about incompatibility and more about timing. Life was moving quickly for both of them, and circumstances didn't allow for something deeper to take root. As his career took off and fields continued to evolve, their paths began to diverge. There was no dramatic ending, no defining moment of separation, just a gradual drifting apart as their lives pulled them in different directions. In many ways, this makes their story more relatable. Not every meaningful relationship ends with conflict. Sometimes it simply fades because life demands something different from each person involved. Respect. That endures. Even decades later, Selleck speaks of Sally Field with genuine admiration. He has described her as kind, authentic, and quietly strong, qualities that left a lasting impression on him. In an industry often driven by image and performance, that authenticity stood out. His reflections are not filled with regret, but with appreciation. He recognizes that their time together, though brief, was meaningful. It represented a moment of connection during a period of uncertainty, and that alone made it valuable. His words carry a sense of respect that has endured long after their relationship ended. A life shaped by choices. As Selleck reflects on his life at 80, it becomes clear that his journey has been shaped not just by opportunities, but by the choices he made along the way. He chose persistence when success seemed distant. He chose privacy when fame threatened to take over. And in his relationships, he chose sincerity, even when things didn't last. His connection with Field fits into that larger narrative, not as a defining chapter, but as a meaningful one. It reminds us that even brief moments can leave a lasting impact, shaping how we see ourselves and others as time goes on. The meaning of what remains. In the end, the story of Tom Selleck and Sally Field is not about what could have been, but about what was. It's a story of timing, respect, and quiet connection, one that doesn't need drama to be meaningful. As years pass and perspectives change, certain memories remain not because they were perfect, but because they were real. For Selleck, that chapter is one he carries with a sense of calm acceptance. It belongs to a time when everything was still unfolding, when the future was uncertain, and when even brief connections had the power to matter in ways that only become clear